Welcome back to the channel. I am the Black Belt Barrister, helping you to understand law. Please smash that like button on the way in. So there's been a lot of talk and a lot of questions about this supposed tell-all book deal that Amber Heard is going to sign. And according to an anonymous tipster to OK Magazine, she's going to take any money that she can get. Now, I just thought I would take a quick look at this article here for a moment, and the headline really says it all. Amber Singh's multi-million-dollar deal to release a revenge tell-all book, but she'll be hit with another defamation suit and end up being right back in court. Now, in a nutshell, that is exactly my thought process, because if she were to release a tell-all book with lots of other details that have not already come out in this lawsuit that's been decided by a jury, then there are lots of other things she could be hit with for another defamation lawsuit, because in essence she'll be republishing and publishing new materials that haven't already been caught in the first trial. Now, ordinarily, if it were just the same things that she's already said, she could still be sued for republication of the same accusations, and potentially there could be an injunction brought against her to prevent her from republishing. Although I understand this to be a little bit of a rarity in the United States, although it is something that they could consider. Now, moving back to the article once more, OK Magazine says a source said Amber considers her career in Hollywood over. She's already in talks and is excited about it. At this point, she's nothing to lose and wants to tell all. Now, there is a question mark over what exactly this book could entail and whether or not it would be the actual story vis-a-vis her and Johnny Depp, or whether it would be some kind of fictional story, fictional tale, much like O.J. Simpson. So this might well be her telling some kind of story, but fictitious names and trying to obscure who it's actually written about. But of course, even if she did that, everybody would know exactly who it's about because it's being released by her, and following this lawsuit, there is going to be no doubt whatsoever in most people's minds, in my opinion, that it's going to be about them and their history together. So what might that really mean in the long term for her? Well, another defamation suit, quite possibly, if Johnny Depp were to instruct his lawyers to do so. And given that there's already been a verdict in this trial, this would be a fact to mention that she's already been held liable and already been ordered to pay a significant amount of damages, including punitive damages. But then follows the question as to whether she can actually pay for this in the first place, because her lawyer, Elaine Brederhoft, said that absolutely she cannot afford to pay this. So query, is this one possibility as to why she's entertaining the idea of a multi-million-dollar tell-all book deal? Well, she has to do something, probably in her mind and in her lawyer's advice. She's got to find something to do, so perhaps this is something that she's going to do by way of a tell-all book deal, sell it for millions of dollars, and probably try to use that to pay off Johnny Depp, or at least one would hope. If she doesn't do that and she just banks the money, then there's going to be some kind of enforcement against her. But all of this, of course, pending the 24th of June date, which is the date by which that any post-judgment motions can be filed with the court, not to be confused with appeals. Appeals are entirely different and would go to a different court. But any motions that would be filed post the judgment, such as they believe the jury have been swayed or the jury haven't reached the verdict in the proper manner, which I think is extremely far-fetched and not going to go anywhere. But nonetheless, that is a date to watch out for in just a few days' time. In my view, and I've said this before, even if arguments are raised that the jury were swayed by social media or looking at social media, the obvious and hopefully readily argued counter-argument to that is that they instructed the jury, in one sense, to actually look this up online, both in Amber's testimony and one of her experts. They literally said, look this up online, or I think her expert said you can Google it, or words to that effect. So if there were any arguments, in my view, that the jury was swayed by social media or any other kind of media coverage, then I think that is overcome by the fact that in their own testimony, they did essentially tell the jury to look this up online. And notwithstanding, I stick by what I've said previously, that I have trust and faith in juries, and there is almost certainly no likelihood, in my view, that the judge is going to do that, because the judge will have faith in the jury system as well. It would take an extremely high level of proof or evidence that the jury have been swayed and not reached their verdict properly in order to overturn this jury verdict. As to appeals, they really need to be on some really significant error of law, neither of which, in my view, are going to stand any prospect of success. There may be some arguments. There are always some arguments, so I suppose we have to wait to find out what happens. But as to this book deal, yes, almost certainly, if it is a tell-all book deal with lots of details that were not in the original trial, lots more defamatory material, lots more statements, lots more accusations, the more detail, the more trouble she would be in. Particularly if she actually names the pair of them within the book, which I doubt. I think it would be on fictitious names and supposedly some kind of fictitious story. But all the same, we're going to have to wait to see what happens, as I've said previously. But if this anonymous source really is talking to OK Magazine and they really do know that she's signed this or in the process or planning to sign this multi-million-dollar book deal, then she might have to take further advice. But then there begs the question how she's going to pay for that advice, or whether the lawyers are just part of the deal and taking part of the money from the book deal. Who knows? That's possibly one arrangement. So as always, we will have to see what happens next, but this is going to be one tale that continues to unravel for weeks, if not months, and if not even years to come. So in the meantime, I will come back to give more views and commentary on this. Please do remember to hit the like button on the way out. Make sure you're subscribed if you do enjoy my content. And as always, thank you very much for watching.